today we're going to be looking at a faulty O2 sensor on a Fiat 500. And how do we know we've got a faulty O2 sensor? Well, in the case of this car, if you've been watching the series, you know I've had my fair share of issues with it, and I had a suspicion a while ago that the O2 sensor, the post-cat one, was failing. So how would you know normally? Well, the way you'd know normally is you would get an engine check light on here, and that's going to come on and make a beep. Well, that's the only sort of notification you're going to get. I've got a bit of a rough running, and it could be the cause of that. So the next thing what you need is you need either go to the garage and get the fault codes read, or buy one of these. They're not too expensive. You can get much cheaper versions. It'll give you actually just a number, and then you can Google it and it'll let you know what it is. So we're going to plug this in, run through the diagnostics. Now on the Fiat 500 you have to remove this little tray at the side of the steering wheel, and then you can plug the diagnostics port in. That will kick into life and we can actually read the trouble code on it. So if I just go through this, and it's going to come up. It takes a couple of minutes to find it, so it's come up with one fault code found. If we read the fault code, it's going to come up there as O2 sensor fault, bank 1, sensor 2. Now I mentioned on the previous video, but I'll mention it again, O2 sensors, bank 1, sensor 2, what's that all about? Because you'll see bank 1, bank 2, sensor 1, sensor 2. It's all around a V8 engine, I suppose, if you like. Bank 1 is cylinders, usually it's something like 1357, and bank 2 is 2468. Obviously this isn't a V8 Fiat 500, so there's only one bank of cylinders, so it's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, so it's always going to be bank 1. Sensor 1 is before the cat, sensor 2 is after the cat. Now the way I understand it, sensor 1 before the cat is more important, because that will alternate between point 0.1 and 0.9 of a volt, whether the mixture is lean or rich, and it will alternate and constantly be adjusting that and then feeding the information back to the ECU for the fuel management. Whereas sensor 2, the one after the catalytic converter, is more a sort of an OK check, and that really wants to be at about 0.5, 0.4, 0.6 of a volt constant, so not much variance. And in the case of this one we've got, not that it's probably going to focus on it, it's actually saying fault code P0136, O2 sensor circuit bank 1, sensor 2 failed. Now they can actually fail in a number of ways. There's a heater circuit in them, so you can actually get the heater circuit failing on them, or you can actually get the sensor failing, where this is just a spectacular complete failure. I've bought a new one, but I just want to show you the sort of data it comes up with first of all. So let me just show you this. So that's the fault code that's actually come up there, where you've got P0136, O2 sensor, bank 1, sensor 2. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to have a look at some of the live data, and I'll zoom in on this in a minute. I'll just change this round so I can look at the live data, and I'll pick up the O2 sensor before the cat, after the cat, and the actual engine temperature. So I'll set this up and show you this, and you can see, hopefully you'll see the pre-one varying, and in the case of the failed one after, you'll see that it's reading a very low voltage out of range. So let me set this up. Right, so we've got the data on the screen there now. It's showing the RPM alternating about 690, 700. O2 bank 1 sensor 1 is varying between about 0.8 of a volt, 0.1 of a volt, and bank 1 sensor 2 is reading about 0.4 volts, which actually is correct, but I can assure you it wasn't reading that the other day. It was only reading 0.002, which put the engine fault light on, and that's the engine temperature 140, so it's probably still not fully up to temperature, and we are getting there. That's interesting that it's typical, isn't it? You go to show a failure, it's actually, it's not dropping much now. Actually, or is it? Maybe I just need to get it fully up to temperature, probably about 180, and see what, oh, there we go. That's not quite right, you see. Well, what I might just do, I might just try clearing this engine fault code, see if that goes away, stays away, but I think it's going to come back pretty quick. So, yeah, it does seem to be slightly out of spec. It's a bit low. It should be about half a volt, where it's only down to 0.3 volt, and that is probably as it's getting warmed up. So let's just try clear that fault and have a look what that looks like. But the top one's about right for the varying of the voltage, so let's just show you how we go through this. So if I just erase codes, it might actually tell me turn the engine off. Sometimes it does. Yeah, turn key off, turn engine off. Right, so erase codes, yes. So I've got the codes erased. If I read them there, stored codes, no codes stored. So we know we've got no stored codes, so if we turn that off, start the engine back up, all the lights should go off. Ah, right, so it's come on there, check engine fault light. So that's the error you get. We go back into here. So we have got a hard fault here. Just going to set this data up again, so it's same one code there. If we have a look through, read the code, stored code, lo and behold it's the bank 1 sensor 1 fault again. So I've come out of here, just go into the live data, it's just going to connect. Just goes through all the various permutations for various vehicles while it's trying to connect, find out which one it is. So if we go on the custom list, you pick this and then you just go down everything you want to see. So we'll have engine coolant temperature, we'll have some of that. We'll have, we won't bother with engine RPM this time. We'll just get bank 1 sensor 1, bank 2 sensor 2. We'll just have those 3 items on. So if we view the data there, so we've got the engine temperature is still rising. Right, that's probably more in spec with what I was seeing now before. So the engine was cold before, so as it's getting up to temperature, we've got bank 1 sensor 1, as we would expect, varying between 0.1 of a volt and 0.9 of a volt, whereas bank 1 sensor 2 is down at 0.2, so it's sort of out of range. So I'm going to confirm this by just testing it on the CLK over there, show you the stats on that, and then I'll show you how. Okay, it's a bit of a shame because when you highlight it you can't see the temperature there. You can probably read it now, so it's 181, so the engine's nicely warmed up. Now, because obviously this is a 5 litre V8, as we were saying before, we've actually got sensor 1, we've got bank 1 sensor 1, and we've got bank 2 sensor 1, because we've got a V8 engine. So we've basically got sensor 1 is bank 1, bank 1 sensor 1 is before the cat, bank 1 sensor 2 is after the cat, and then you've got the repeat for bank 2 sensor 1 and bank 2 sensor 2. So you can see bank 1 is the one where it should be varying between 0.1 of a volt and 0.9 of a volt, and you can see that is changing around, varying the mixture, whereas you can see the sensor 2 is sort of staying fairly consistent really. It's not yo-yoing around as the sensor 1 is. And if you go to bank 2 sensor 1, you can see that's changing from 0.9, 0.1 up to a 0.7, and these outputs are changing about 0.7. I've only just recently started the engine, so it's probably just running a bit rich at the moment, and I would imagine once it's fully warmed up, these two sensor 2 ones, which are currently reading about 0.7, will probably stabilise at about half a volt. If I just give the throttle a little bit now, let's just see what it does. So it's probably gone rich as I've just revved it a little bit, and as I back off they'll come down. So you can see that's the sort of the indication of what it's working. So really what I suppose what we're summarising here really is we're saying sensor 1 is going to be one that's yo-yoing around between 0.1 and 0.9 of a volt, and your sensor 2 should be more of a stable figure somewhere around the 0.5 of a volt. Whereas you can see on the Fiat 500 it had dropped down to about 0.2, 0.3, which is why it's showing a fault, so we need to replace that sensor. So it's time to get the spanners out and get that sensor replaced on the Fiat 500. So we've been through the codes, we've diagnosed it as an O2 sensor to replace. So I've got a new O2 sensor here for a Fiat 500. This is what it looks like. So it should be quite simple to replace, probably curse that now. So it's basically spanner on this end to unbolt it from the exhaust manifold, which is after the catalytic converter in this case, and then just one quick connection, 4 wires. And there's 4 wires on here. I believe I think it's the 2 white ones are actually a heater, because it has a heater in here to make it operate, probably a very low voltage heater or low current heater. And then there's the 2 wires for the signal, and you can see it comes with a little protective cover on it to just keep it clean and not pick up any contaminants before it's installed. So hopefully this is quite an easy job to do. Obviously wait till your exhaust is, or wait till your car's cold, don't do it when it's just been hot, because the metals expand and it could end up being tight to try and unbolt it if there's a different expansion rate in the exhaust and the actual O2 sensor. So engine's nice and cold. I'm going to jack it up because I can get better it underneath, and then I can take it out, 1 spanner on here, 1 connection, and we should be done, and check the fault codes. Now just something else to show you, you'll notice this plethora of elbow grease products. Now this is obviously my daughter's joke for my birthday. The 2 of them have bought me all these products, and I think it's every single elbow grease product possible. We've got the scouring pads, we've got some weird scrub mat which says soft when wet and hard when dry, cue a joke from Christian, some sort of scratchy pad there, got elbow grease window glass, elbow grease power paste, some sort of cleaning product there, I don't know what that is. That's the multi-purpose grease cleaner, degreaser we've used before. Elbow grease washing up liquid that can go back in the house. Some elbow grease scrubbing pad. Elbow grease oven cleaner. I don't know how. I haven't got an oven in the garage, so I'm not sure about that one. Elbow grease drain unblocker, and elbow grease cream cleaner. So she now thinks I'm cleaning hobs, sinks and bathrooms. I can't see me using those. Anyway, so there we go. Maybe one day the real sponsorship by elbow grease will come. So let's get back to this O2 sensor then. So let's get the car jacked up and get ready to fit the sensor. So the O2 sensor is accessed from underneath. So we just go underneath here. It's actually here with an electrical connection just a little bit higher up. Get the electrical connection from up there. Well, you probably actually can get it from here, to be honest. See if we can do that. There, so that's that out. Little plastic clip here for it. Just pop that apart. There we go, and then it's a 22mm spanner there to undo. I've cracked this off already, to be honest. It says Ooh, still a bit tight. So there we go, there's the old one out. So it looks similar, got the same thread. To be honest, I can't just tell by looking at it whether it's defective or not. But you can see it's pretty easy to do. So let's go and screw the new one in. So the new one going in, took the protective cover off, put it in the hole. Just to make sure I've not cross-threaded it. Seems to be going in okay. Give it a final nip. About that tight. Connect the electrical cable at the top and we're done. So, sensor replaced. That was only a 5-minute job once the car was jacked up. Gonna start it up now, try and get it warm up. I think the engine warning light will stay on because it was a hard code that was locking it down, and there it is beeping. Check engine. Check engine. Oh, it just says check engine. So if we have a look at the fault codes now, we'll go in, connect on the OBD2 fault code reader. So it's come up as we thought, one code still there. There's no need to read the code, we know what it is. Do we want to erase it? Yes. So we erase the code. Erase. Turn key on with engine off, right, okay. So, erase code, yes. Code gone, read codes, stored codes, no codes there. Right, take the key out. Start it again. Engine check light still on. Oh, engine check light still on. Interesting. That's not what we're hoping for, is it? Right, so it's come up with the same fault code, sensor bank 1, sensor 2. So obviously, it's not the sensor. It must be the wiring to the sensor. I need to take a look at that then, don't I? Damn! Oh well. Let's have a look at the wiring then. Or what we could do, let's just get the engine nicely warmed up to temperature, then clear the fault code, and take a look at it. So I'm pleased to say the engine trouble code has gone away, and what I did at first, plugged in the reader, read the code, cleared the code, turned the engine off, turned the engine back on, and it came straight back on, which was rather bizarre. So what I actually did then is I got the engine up to temperature, let it get nice and warm, turned it off, disconnected the battery, positive and negative, left it off for about 30 seconds, put it back on, cleared the engine code, then restarted it, and it's gone. So it does seem a bit bizarre. So far, fingers crossed, it hasn't come back. And what I'm just going to have a look at now is the actual live data to see what is it, bank 1 sensor 2 is doing. Just in time for the rain to start. Right, let's have a look. So the temperature up to 149 Fahrenheit now. Whoops, pressed down too fast. So we've now got bank 1 sensor 1 at 0.8, 0.7, 0.3, 0.1, 0.8, so that's right, that's the one that's varying between it. And OB1 S2 is staying steady at 7.6 volts, 7.4 volts. So it's staying around the 0.7 volts with a few variations after the 0.7, which I think was about the same as the CLK, wasn't it? So let's take that as a fix. Complexity, wasn't even a brew involved, so that was quite easy. 22mm spanner to take the O2 sensor out, and then just a scanner to clear the engine trouble code afterwards. And you probably could use just a very basic trouble code reader to get rid of that. So let's hope that's that done. Another quick fix on the Fiat 500, obviously up and running now. My daughter's happy, she's running around in it. We're going to move on to other things, so please like and subscribe, keep watching, and we've got some videos coming up on the CLK, replacing the cam cover gaskets and the breather pipes, because the breathers were blocked at the top, therefore blowed a bit of oil out on the exhaust. So I've got that to do, and I've done, I videoed it, I just need to get it out. And yeah, please like, subscribe, and thanks for watching. Bye.